Turn your living room into a joyful, hands-free playroom with CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ. Your child sings, moves, and learns right alongside JJ and friends, all on the big screen. It's designed thoughtfully to spark speech, rhythm, and coordination through songs and active play. Try an ad-free, safe, and interactive way to make screen time part of their learning and growth. Parents love how easy it is, voice-controlled and frustration-free. Kids love every moment of singing, laughing, and playing along. It's fun for them, and it's feel-good for you. Available now in the Volley app on your smart TV. Just search Volley in your TV's app store and start your free trial of CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ today. That's CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ, available now in the Volley app on your smart TV. Search Volley and start your free trial today.
Volley. Welcome to Homeschooling Outside the Box, the podcast that encourages and equips moms to homeschool an outside-the-box child. Hey there, I'm Cindy Renna, and today we are talking with Sonya Shafer from Simply Charlotte Mason. Sonya is a homeschool mom of four and co-creator of the website Simply Charlotte Mason. Sonya, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody.
Sonya, why don't you share with us a little bit about your family, including a bit about your homeschool journey and how you found out about Charlotte Mason?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My husband, John, and I have four daughters, and we have homeschooled them all the way through. I first heard about Charlotte Mason about 25 years ago, actually. I attended a homeschool, well, even before that, I should probably say I was not going to homeschool. I never wanted to homeschool. I thought homeschoolers were weird, and I was not going to be one of them. But but my husband said, you've done such a great job with these children during the preschool years. Why don't you just keep doing what you're doing and see how it goes? So he basically talked me into trying it. And once I started, I just couldn't stop. So it kind of got into my system there. But when I was getting ready to start homeschooling my oldest, right before her first grade year, I went to a homeschool convention in my state. It was up near Chicago, actually. And there I went to a workshop where a lady was saying that you can homeschool in several different ways. She just laid out in real brief form different approaches that you can take to homeschooling. And one of the approaches that she just kind of summarized was the Charlotte Mason approach. And as soon as even just that brief paragraph description that she gave, that just resonated with my heart. And I said, that's the one I want to do. So a friend who was with me also wanted to do Charlotte Mason. We didn't know anybody else who did Charlotte Mason. So we started to look for how can we learn about this, because that was back before the internet was around. I always have to pause when I say that because people have to really wrap their heads around what that means. So we found Karen Andriola's book, A Charlotte Mason Companion, and we found Catherine Levison's book, Charlotte Mason Education. And we started reading those, and we would implement something, and then we would go back and read some more and learn some more and try and implement that and tweak as we go. And that's basically what I've been doing for the past 25 years. Still learning, still implementing, still tweaking as we go along. I don't consider myself an expert in Charlotte Mason by any means, but I'm happy to share what I learn as I keep learning and growing. And so far, we've graduated 3 of the 4 daughters, and I continue to homeschool my youngest one. She's 21 now, but she has special needs. She has autism and pervasive developmental delays, sensory processing issues, language processing, auditory processing, the whole gamut. It's not who she is. It's simply what she has to deal with in her body here on earth.
Amazing. And I am going to guess that your searching for help in the early years had something to do with the development of Simply Charlotte Mason.
Yeah, yes, it did. Whenever people ask about Simply Charlotte Mason, I like to tell them that it's a hobby that got out of control. It started as my friend Karen Smith and I, as we learned and implemented and found our feet with the whole Charlotte Mason thing with our 8 children combined. We noticed that more and more new homeschoolers were coming to us and asking questions about, how do I do Charlotte Mason? How do I get started with this? What books do you recommend for that? So rather than try to remember all of that in our brains, we thought, let's put together a website. And that way it will reach more people, and we don't have to remember all of this. We can just say, hey, here's the website. That's all we have to remember is
Right.
the website. Point them there. Our brain dump is right there. So we went to Karen's husband, Doug. He was a webmaster, proficient in internet stuff way back then, and said, would you create a website for us? And I distinctly remember telling him, all we need is 5 pages. Just create these 5 pages and you're done. You're out of here. That's all we need. Well, yeah, he's been a good sport because it has really grown now. It has hundreds of pages. And so now we produce curriculum for grades 1 through 12. Usually it's the resources that we wish we had had as we went through it with our kids, or ones that I'm still using with my youngest. We also host an online planner and record keeper. There's a database up there with thousands of living book suggestions. We produce a weekly audio and video podcast and blog post. And the Lord has given me such a blessing that now I get to travel the world and share about Charlotte Mason and her wonderful methods with other homeschoolers and other moms. And I'm particularly excited about a new resource we just came out with, and it's focused mainly on the preschool years.
Yes, and we are going to talk a lot about that. I'm very excited about that too, even though I've got one just leaving the preschool years, but that's okay. I still, because I will get questions about it. And I love, like you said, to just point them to a resource. Before we move on to that, I do want to highlight, you said on the website, you have custom curriculum and all set up. When I meet a new homeschooler who's really overwhelmed and interested in Charlotte Mason, but they don't really have the freedom of choice part of it down pat because it's just too much. That is the best place to go. So if you are a new homeschooler, please do yourself a favor and go to Simply Charlotte Mason. That is where we got started with Charlotte Mason. I have a personal debt to you and the website and Karen and her husband who did all 5 pages. And and then kept going because my situation was a little similar. I'd heard about Charlotte Mason, didn't know too much. And then I had found you and I saw these, I'm an avid reader. I have a degree in writing. So I say I paid to go to college to read good books. Like that's just, that was
nice.
The extent of it. Yeah. I saw all the titles on your book lists and I thought, oh my goodness, they can just read great books. Like, is this real? And of course there's more to it than that, but it's such a good spot to start. And I will link to lots of our favorite curriculum things come from you. The picture study portfolios are priceless. Like I love the things that you offer because you really give away to allow homeschoolers the freedom to fit their family. You give the gentle guidance, or if you're like, you just want an open and go, there's that option too. But you are very good at teaching new homeschoolers how to adapt the Charlotte Mason method to their family. So definitely worth checking out. But okay, so Our Preschool Life. You mentioned that. Obviously, it's geared towards mothers with preschoolers, but talk to me a little bit about more of your audience, who you're wanting to specifically encourage, and why you created it, especially nowadays. and kind of touch on the need to protect the early years, because I looking at your curriculum, it looks very, very different than anything I've ever seen, especially for the preschool years. And if you look at some of the really popular online options, the ABC Mouse, the Starfall, and things like this is not that. And thank goodness, it's a very different option. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. So it's very, very different. And so talk to us about why it needs to be different.
Well, first, thank you for saying it's different, because that was our goal, really. When we travel around and go to different homeschool conventions, we have our booth and we spend time consulting with so many different parents and trying to encourage them and help them find what will fit their family. And we noticed more and more young parents coming in who had preschoolers. They're at these homeschooling conventions before their kids are even school age, doing their work, trying to get up to speed. And it's like, good for you, finding what philosophy is going to work best for you, preparing yourself. But many of them were feeling pressure that I have to do a set curriculum. I have to push the reading and the writing. I have to do formal academics with my 3-year-old. They would come in and say, I need a complete curriculum for my 3-year-old. And I would say, no, you don't.
Yeah, go outside, read good books.
That's what I say. All you need is focus on 3 things. Read good books together. Go outside a lot. Spend a lot of time outside and form good habits. Those are your priorities in these early years. And they would want so much to agree with that, but they were feeling this pressure. Either they did not know how to find the good books, or they didn't have time to find those good books. And what do I do when I get outside? And how do I instill good habits?
Right.
They needed more guidance. And because of that pressure that sometimes came from within, but sometimes often was from without, from grandparents and from their friends and everything, it would just set their minds at ease if they had something tangible to say, I'm doing this. So combine that with the Smiths and the Shafers share a grandchild. All right. So my second daughter married their oldest son.
Oh my goodness.
And so now we have 2 grandchildren, and the oldest one turned 3 this year, preschool age. So we had this idea in the back of our head for what this might look like. But because that child turned 3 this year, we put it on fast forward and said, we've got to crank that out and crank it out now. We need to make this available so that our adult children can use it. So our main goal with this, as you said, Charlotte Mason believed in protecting those early years, to keep them a time of joyful and informal exploration and discovery. And there's so many things that our preschoolers can learn, and God designed them to learn it just through everyday life.
Right.
Through, as they are ready, exploring with their senses and processing and assimilating as they form these important brain connections during those young years. So we wanted to make it simple, of course, that's our name, and convenient for parents of 3 to 5-year-olds. We wanted to show them how to make everyday life the, quote, curriculum. That it's not this formal curriculum, but everyday life is where the children learn. And so we wanted to give them resources to help them just tuck these informal, play-based activities into each day, just here and there as it fits best, rather than having this whole set academic structure. And we wanted to give them activities that are full of wonderful ideas and beautiful music and art and that encourage this working on good habits, and especially encourage lots of play, and especially outdoors play and time in nature. So we created Our Preschool Life, and how it's set up is it's a monthly subscription box so that you will receive those great children's books. They are our favorites. These have passed the Charlotte Mason Grandma test. All right. Karen and I have read all of these. We have thrown out 3 times as many as we have kept on our list for this, but we love each of these books that is included. So it's included in the box. You get the book. You don't have to go look for it. You get chore cards. You get gorgeous art prints, just like the ones that you mentioned you like in the picture study portfolios. The prints for the young children are the same quality. We give you the special craft supplies, so you don't have to haul the kids to the store and try to find what you need. And we give them little nature friend stickers so that they can just start developing this habit of looking at nature around them. And then once they see that little nature friend for the month, then they put that sticker in a little nature hunt notebook. But then the box, that comes every month, but that's only a small part of Our Preschool Life. The parents also are going to get digital deliveries every few days, and those will give them ideas for timeless games and outdoor play ideas and preschool songs, the audio recordings, and rhymes and poems and Bible stories and folk tales and classical music and a habit focus, and just much, much more than that.
That is absolutely wonderful. Okay, so a few thoughts. One, how fun is it, especially during the preschool years, to get mail? Like I think that is the neatest thing, that you made this a physical delivery. I mean, obviously you have things to ship, but that's just an added layer to it, that they get to look forward to it coming every month and getting excited for it and what's in the box. So I'm sure that's a favorite.
When our granddaughter was beta testing this for us, my daughter mentioned that when the box came, her eyes would light up. She'd say, "Mommy, is that my box?" It has the big Our Preschool Life picture on it, and so she knew that was hers. That was just so fun.
That is so sweet. And just going back to what you were saying in the beginning about moms not knowing what to do and feeling that pressure, which I just recorded a couple months ago, an episode with Leah Martin all about the preschool years. So if listeners want to listen to that, we do talk more about specifics, but what we had mentioned, there's just such a need in this culture. And this is what I think Our Preschool Life does. It gives moms permission. You don't have to teach them how to read by the time they're 4.5. You don't have to, in fact, please don't. You don't have to be doing, you know what I mean? These rigorous math curriculum when they're 5 and
forcing your child to sit in a chair and put pencil to paper.
It's developmentally inappropriate.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we were talking about. Their bodies are not even, their brains and their bodies aren't developed. And then, if they are in a school environment, well, clearly there's something wrong with them because they can't do these things. And, it's the opposite. They were never designed to be doing those things yet. And if they're not developing these sensory skills in the early years, then they still won't be able to do them when they are supposed to be sitting down and doing them in the higher years. So
and that will sabotage all their efforts. I keep thinking of it, I have to think of it in simple terms, like a word picture. And in my head, it's almost like we're trying to put together this big elaborate cake, like a wedding cake with lots of tiers and beautiful decorations on it. But it all starts with making sure you've got the right ingredients and putting it in the right environment so the cakes will bake. Because if they don't bake well, the whole thing's going to collapse. You can slap frosting on it to look good all you want to, but if it's raw in the middle, you're going to have issues. And the thing is, it's not really a great spectator sport to sit and watch cakes bake. You know,
Right.
you don't see all that's happening because it's under the surface. And that's so much what the preschool years are. So much is happening in them, but we need to give them the right ingredients and the right environment, and then give them time to make those connections inside, down underneath where you can't see it. And that takes time, and that takes faith.
Yes, absolutely. And so I just love that part of it, that you're giving permission that it's okay that the preschool years look like this. They should look like this.
They should.
And you're kind of giving a tangible way to buck against the norm that is happening in our society. And at the same time, you're equipping moms because there is a lack of knowledge in this area. Because it's been generations of
right.
Suffocating the mother instinct. You know what I mean? In those early years, stuff that was probably natural. And even I remember some games my mom would play with me and things we would do, but all that is like a lost art, So now we really do feel like we need a more tangible way, if we're checking off the list, that we're doing something. And I think of one of Charlotte Mason's quotes in volume 6, where she says, "We all know the natural conditions under which a child should live, but I'm scared that we don't anymore." I think that really has made a cultural shift where we don't all really know what that looks like. And so I love that Our Preschool Life is giving a very tangible, practical, fun, and exciting way to equip both moms and the kids and make allowances for that precious time.
Yes. Another quote that comes to mind from Charlotte Mason, she said, "In this time of extraordinary pressure, both educationally and socially." I mean, she was feeling that pressure with those younger children. And she said, "Perhaps a mother's first duty is to provide for them a quiet, growing time." Especially during those first 6 years. That is just so important. And she was feeling pressure 100 years ago. How much more are parents feeling it today?
Right. And that's it. It really is a protective measure because there's so many things that they could do. There's so many options for children as young as 2 and 3 to be doing outside of the home. So I love that.
Or even
any
inside.
thoughts about? Right. Yes. And
the scariest thing I found recently, Cindy, is when I was looking around to see, is there another preschool option? Has someone already created this? A lot of the preschool, quote, curriculum that is out there is electronic. You sit your kid down in front of a computer, and for hours a day, that just, let's not even go toward
I know.
all that it does to a child's brain. Oh, the poor kid. Anyway.
I know. And then again, there's the sensory, and then they're hyper and then they can't control their body. And then it's harder to teach them habits. And like, it's just
no attention span whatsoever.
Exactly. And so you read some of that stuff in Charlotte Mason's volumes about working with a 1-year-old on attention span. And you pair that with how we're now handing them iPads at 1 instead of, you know what I mean? It's just, but it is, I'm not sitting on my pedestal looking down at the, these poor people. Like, I've struggled with that because it is so rampant in our culture. And there is, especially when the boys, I've got 2 on the autism spectrum. So when they were first diagnosed and we were doing one type of therapy that I praise God we are not doing anymore, but it was very electronic based. And all of his therapies that he was going to were on the iPad. And then they couldn't understand why he was melting down when they would take it away. And I just, I know what I know now. And I look back and I think, when you've got the educators and the professionals telling you this is what to do. This is the way to go. It does take tenacity to look the other way and say, no, I'm going to do this completely opposite thing that probably nobody else I know is doing. So I just love, again, with Our Preschool Life, it's really freedom. It's giving permission. It's a gift to this culture where we're really seeing everything going in the other direction. Any thoughts on, and we touched a little bit, I know, on the moving away from screens, but how Our Preschool Life could benefit kids, outside the box types of kids? And when I say that, I mean autism, ADHD, sensory processing, all the acronyms. And I know just the lack of screen, just removing the screens is a huge help to that audience specifically. But are there other ways that you can see this nurturing them?
Yes, absolutely. Let me give you an example from my own life. In homeschooling my youngest, she's 21 now, but we're doing first grade math, and she's reading on a third grade level. Praise God. I never knew if she would ever start reading. But she started when she was 11. And so in these last 10 years, she's made it up 3 grade levels. So we're just excited about that. But when at some point, I was listening to everybody else around me who was saying, focus on the weak areas, focus on the weak areas, gotta get them up to speed. And so for one term, I said, let's try this. We need to work on her reading, her writing, and her math. Those are the weak areas. We're going to set everything else aside. Let's just focus and dig deep on these areas. And so we did that for 12 weeks. And I'll tell you, Cindy, by the end of those 12 weeks, we both had just withered on the vine. We were so tired of this. It was tedious. The joy was gone because we were just beating to death these skills that were hard. And we had lost, well, basically, I was not viewing her as a whole person. I was not respecting her as a person. I was only seeing her as a bundle of limitations. And what I wanted to do, and what we were able to switch back to do, was enriching her spirit and feeding her mind and providing that wide feast, spreading that feast. So we brought back in the music and the art and the Bible stories and the poetry and time in nature. Oh, nature does such wonderful things for our outside the box kids. It's just astounding what nature can do. And being able to include chores and work on habits that fit where your child is right now. That gives such a sense of accomplishment as a person. So spreading that wide feast is, I think, a key to respecting them as a whole person. And yes, you might not always see it. You might not always be able to tell how it's enriching that child, but trust me, it is. And one thing I love about Our Preschool Life is, I think this grew out of my experiences with Hannah, and well, even just with preschool kids, because there is such a wide range of skill, abilities, and developmental levels with kids in the early years. And then let's extrapolate and say, and also with our outside the box kids who are older than those early years.
Sure.
And so in Our Preschool Life, for many of the activities, we don't just say, here's the activity, take it or leave it. We say, all right, here are 3 different levels, 3 ways you could tweak this activity to make it simpler or more difficult, so that you can choose how to apply that in a way that fits your child best, wherever they might happen to be, no matter what their age level.
I love that, because even I've got the 3 boys who are all in a cluster. They're 12, 12, and 11. And then my little Gracie, who's 5. And I mean, you've got the boy girl thing, then you've got the autism neurotypical thing. And it's just so vastly different. And so I'm sure, I mean, that's a very common story, is that you'll have children the same age at totally different levels and needs. And so that is such a good, I'm glad you guys did that. That's a wonderful benefit.
Well, and we want to make sure moms know that skill ability should not in our heads be tied to an age. Part of
Right.
respecting the child as a person is letting them be who they are and not forcing them or comparing them. You need to be like so and so at this age. That's one reason we're homeschooling, is so we've got that freedom to teach the child exactly where he or she is.
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the reasons that many outside the box families choose to homeschool. But then it does feel like, um, the older they get, the more pressure you start, there are seasons where you kind of panic. And like you shared with
Yeah.
your 12-week experience, you thought, okay, and I love how you preface that with, I started listening to the voices around me.
Mm-hmm.
I started, because I want people listening to understand, it's not, you're not always confident. It
That's
is
right.
kind of like going in the dark, blindfold, but that's where God has you, because that's where you need
Absolutely.
faith. If you knew how to do it,
Absolutely.
you wouldn't
Yeah.
need them. So, but it is, He will reward you in those moments too. And I'm going to dovetail real quick because I want to share the story, because it reminds me of what you said about just meeting them where they're at. And I had this beautiful moment with Benjamin, my oldest. You were talking about how you don't want to put their age on a level. And
Hmm.
if he were in the school system, would be quote unquote behind in math by
Yes. Yes.
years, because we've
Yep.
chosen we do an in-home therapy that really focuses on relationship and developing social skills. And so, no, academics were not our top priority for a long time. Now we've brought some math in. And so he finished his book yesterday, and the look on his face, he said, "So you're proud?" And it was just this beautiful moment where he felt
Oh.
proud of himself for completing something, and then he could see the joy in my face. And it was like we'd conquered something together.
Yes,
Because
he did. Yeah,
you
he
really
was
do.
able to. He noticed that emotion in your face, that,
Yes.
and he was able to name it. That's
Yes.
fabulous. He
And so
identified
just
it. Ah.
right, the social component of that story is way more valuable to me
Oh yeah, yeah,
than anything he learned in math this year. Just that
yeah.
he
Who
was
cares which
able,
book it was?
exactly, that he was able to articulate it, and he did something that was challenging for him, you
Yes.
know, and he overcame it, and we stuck with it. And, but it wasn't like such a hard thing that it just deflated and defeated him. It was a
Right.
good, meeting spot for him. But that is so important that we recognize that. Yes.
And I think each mom needs to be built up in that confidence of, I can see what is going to fit my child best. I can
Hmm.
choose that, and to have practice and maybe some examples that these levels will give of how might I tweak something to make it easier or more difficult in order to better fit my child. And hopefully these examples that we're giving will also generate ideas in other areas of life too, just to equip the mom more and give her confidence in that. I think moms are the best person to be able to customize what their child is learning because they know that child best.
Right. Absolutely. And I think you're good at teaching moms to learn how to do that, and feel confident in doing that. You give them sort of a jumping off point. Okay. So I do have a question about our preschool life. What about when the preschooler is the youngest? What about for the families who are they're already full blown Simply Charlotte Mason, or whatever plan they're doing, and they've got older kids who are school age? How would this look fitting into that family?
Yeah, that's a great question. A couple of our beta testers were in that situation. And what we heard back from them was, number one, it was a good reminder to them to spend time with the little ones. It
Mm,
seemed like as the kids got older and into full-blown schoolwork, they took all the attention. And so many of the little things that we had done with them when they were little, we just kind of forgot about and never did it with our current little ones. So
yes.
just having that reminder to spend some time with the little ones, but without the pressure of this full structured curriculum. I've got to do this with my little ones as well as my big ones.
Hmm.
It's not, it's just one or two little touch points, one or two little ideas that you can tuck into the day. So that was one thing. But the other thing that we were hoping for, and it turned out this way, is that when you have olders and youngers, there are times when you need to pair off an older sibling to spend some time with your little brother here while I work with Susie. And
Yes.
so our preschool life, because it is just these little ideas and activities and games and poems and books and things like that, what the mom can do now is say, all right, Bobby, go read this book and sing this song with your little brother, or go play this game and do this craft. So it gives them the tools to equip those older siblings because they're not
Hmm.
hard to do. And that way the siblings not like, well, I don't know what to do. Let's, turn on the TV or something.
Yeah.
It gives them these ideas so the sibling has the tools to play and to keep the little one occupied, but not just busy work. It's going to
Right.
give them good ideas.
Right. I love that because the little ones really do want to be involved. And
Yes.
I know even Gracie she wants to do big school and she wants to do, so you want to give them something appropriate to where they feel like they're doing it, but also nurturing that time. I laughed when you said, you kind of forget about the little ones, and this is real. I realized last week my 5-year-old had not been to the splash pad. And this sounds
Yeah.
like such a silly thing. But I mean,
No.
with the older, we were doing all those preschooly things. And I'm like, oh, well, she can, recite First They Came for the Jews, but she can't,
Yeah. But she's never been in the
but
splash
she
pad.
hasn't been to the splash pad.
Yeah. Yeah,
So you do
exactly.
have
She
those
just
split
forgets.
skills, right, where she wants to be involved in the big stuff, but she probably doesn't need to. So,
Yes. Yes.
and you want to nurture those early years in practical ways. But I love that you can hand it to a sibling and it's transferable in that way too. That's a great help.
Yeah, everything, all the ideas are all collected on the website that you can access from anywhere. And what I really love too is even if well, let me back up. What I love is that you get lifetime access to those ideas on the website. Any ideas that were delivered to you during your subscription, they stay there forever. So even if you cancel your box, you still have that whole library of ideas you have collected over the months.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
all in one place. So you don't have to remember where you put this and what you did with that. It's just all right there.
Okay, so tell me about the email part. You email how often to send ideas to the moms and encouragement?
Well, currently they get the box near the first of the month. And then about every 4 days or so, 3 or 4 days during the month, they will get another new idea or two. And I think it's two or three every time they get it. But yeah, it's every 3 or 4 days we're sending them more. And we send them ideas related to the stuff in the box. Like when you get the craft supplies, we give you ideas for 3 different projects that you could build with those supplies. And you can choose which one will fit your child best, or if you want to do all three with your child or children, that's up to you. So we give those
Right.
ideas as
Okay.
well as the additional ideas coming every about 3 or 4 days.
Okay. And I love your write up here. No worksheets, no contrived lessons, no electronic games, just natural play based learning through everyday experiences.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful way to spend those years. So do you have, I know it's probably like picking your favorite child, but do you have a favorite part of this curriculum that you would like to highlight?
um, I think one thing that is very dear to my heart is, yes, we want to protect those precious early years, but we also want to encourage the parents. I mean, we know that those years are hard work. We've been there. And well, my friend Karen, who also is helping me with our preschool life, she had 4 kids in 5 years.
Mm,
We remember what that's like. And we're
yeah.
watching our children now with their preschool kids. And so, what we wanted to do is make sure that we include encouragement for the parents too. So every few days, every month, you are going to be getting practical parenting tips and ideas for continuing to grow as a person, and reminders to rest, and spiritual encouragement through Bible verses and prayer prompts. We want the parent to feel like she has a friend and a mentor who's walking this path beside her, cheering her on, especially during those hard days. I think that's one of my favorite parts of this.
That is wonderful because that's what's missing too from these other things that we mentioned that are aimed at preschoolers. It's it's almost that's just aimed to throw at them. This is a thing for you to do. Where this our preschool life is much more of a relational experience for the mother and child or the sibling or parent, and the child to experience together. And which is
That's
so
why we
Charlotte
called it,
Mason.
yes, yes. And that's why we called it life, because
Yes,
life is so much more than just, as you said, throwing a curriculum at them.
right. Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited that this is out on the market and that people can go to get it. I'm going to link to it in the show notes. So if you are just coming out of your seat, excited and want to do this, it is live now, right? The
Yes,
boxes
it is.
are
Mm-hmm.
okay, because I know the first shipment went out in August. Is that correct? Or July?
Uh, yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay. So but
It just launched this summer. Yes. Uh-huh.
by the time this airs, for sure you will be able to get it. So go
Oh,
ahead and
absolutely.
click on that link and get signed up. Sonya, can you tell us any other projects that you're working on or speaking engagements that you have coming up?
Honey, if I talked about the projects I'm working on, we'd be here for another hour or more. But speaking engagements, every spring I travel all over and speak at different homeschool conventions. And you can find a list on our website at simplycharlottemason.com. Just look at the events and speaking page, see if I'm going to be at one near you. But one event that we're especially excited about is the Charlotte Mason Together Retreat. It's held at the end of July. It's a great time of gathering with kindred spirits, and we focus on resting and refreshing and refocusing for the school year ahead. So you can be watching for that announcement when the next one's coming up and where it will be and all of that. We'll talk about it on our podcast and on all of our social media channels.
So online, the best place to find you. I know you mentioned your podcast. You guys have a Facebook page and Instagram, I believe.
Yeah, we've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. That'll either be simply Charlotte Mason or sometimes simply CM. You can find our weekly video podcasts on YouTube or grab the audio version through whatever favorite podcast app you have. But you can find links to everything at simplycharlottemason.com.
Wonderful. And shout out to the podcast because they are just these short little clips that you feel so, or I do at least, accomplished after listening to it because you think, wow, that's not much. And sometimes you listen to something and you think, oh, how am I going to implement that? Or this is going to take so long. And yours, they're just short and it's like a one idea takeaway and you think I could do that. And so
Yay!
they're great to listen to. And then, of course, you can binge listen to a bunch if you're wanting to be on there longer. But Sonya, thank you so, so much for being on today and encouraging everybody listening.
Thanks so much for inviting me. And Cindy, thanks for all that you do to encourage those of us who have outside the box children. it's a wonderful ministry.
Thanks so much for listening to Homeschooling Outside the Box. If you are loving the show, please consider heading over to iTunes and leaving a review. This is a really great way to help other moms find out about the show so they can be encouraged and equipped just like you are. For more encouragement for yourself, head over to cindyrenna.com. I've got blog posts on there. You can listen to past episodes of the podcast, and there's even a shop if you're looking for something to help equip you more in your homeschool. Things like book lists and a nature journal and all sorts of fun stuff. So thanks again for listening, and I will talk with you soon. Bye-bye.